Welcome to Cowgirl Talk, where we empower you to live authentically through real food, real talk, and real life. Sisters brought together by our love of cows. We're your host, Emily, a dairy lover and personal trainer living in Florida.
And Becca, a corporate cowgirl holding down the family fort in Pennsylvania. Let's go, cowgirls!
Hello, and welcome back to Cowgirl Talk. We are so excited for today's episode because it is all about June Dairy Month, baby. It is National Dairy Month for anyone who doesn't know. And as Becca and I are both dairy girls, we grew up in the dairy industry. We're still very much involved and love it so much. We really wanted to dedicate this episode to talking about June Dairy Month, kind of diving into the history of it and some of the nutritional benefits of milk, and also just covering a few misconceptions that kind of swirl around dairy products and the dairy industry. And I think this is just going to be a great episode as we're both very passionate about these things. And I think there's going to be a lot of great discussion. So before we really dive into all of the fun facts of this episode, we of course have to always do our highs and lows. And Becca, let's start off with your highs and lows because you had a jam-packed weekend.
I did. So, if you're watching the video of this podcast, I might look a little tired.
Yeah, she does have a lot of pep in her step right now.
No, I'm working on it. We'll get there through the episode as we talk about cows, which will just get me re-jazzed up to live life. So I'll start with, my high, because that's the reason for my low. So we had Miranda Lambert came to Altoona for a concert in it's called her like Tour on the Diamond or the Diamond Tour or something like that. And I think she's going to a bunch of baseball fields.
Wow.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
That's
so
here too.
Very. And I think I might be making this up, but I think that similar to where she came in Altoona, she's going to a lot of smaller baseball stadiums. So Altoona, where I reside, there is a minor league baseball stadium and team here. So it's the Altoona Curve. They filter a lot of players. I think they're affiliated with the Pirates.
They are.
And yeah, it's a great stadium. They've done a lot of great work. And so it was just cool to have a bunch of us went and got VIP seats, which meant we were like in the pit basically right in front of Miranda. And then this other band, Jackson Dean, was there. It was really good. I mean, she's an incredible performer. Emmy and I have seen her before with the same friend I went with on Friday. And it was also nice that it was in the Curve Stadium because we're obsessed with the Curve burgers.
Yeah.
Their burgers are so good. Yeah, their burgers are delicious. So got to have dinner there, hang out. And then who I went with, my friend Jenna, she brought her, we brought a couple of people, but she brought her niece Lila, who's 11,
Aww.
and it was her first concert.
Oh, that's so cool.
And she also loved Curve burgers, and we both love Curve burgers. We agree because we can put on as many pickles as we want.
Mm-hmm.
It's, like your own toppings bar, which is probably why we like it so much.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I had an Arnold Palmer pounder.
Oh, well, I know. The stadiums now do pounders now, all of them. And it's like, they get warm so quick. They're fun, but they're so big that it's like, I have to chug this if I don't want it to get warm.
Yeah. So I had that and a couple of Miller Lights.
Ooh.
So
very country.
I was a little hungover Saturday morning when I got dropped off at the Bellwood Park and Ride to hop on a school bus for my friend Lauren's bachelorette, which was a lot of fun. This is the second bachelorette in my group of friends where we've rented a school bus and had it just drive us around.
That's awesome.
Hilarious. The first one was a night school bus. This was a day school bus. So
what's a night school bus?
I mean, we just went around to Altoona bars at night versus it was a day trip. Sorry, trip, not bus.
I was like, I really don't know the difference if there is one.
No, there's quite literally no difference. We had the exact same driver and the exact same bus. So
my gosh.
There's no difference. But we explored Bellefonte, which is a really cute area here in Pennsylvania that we've just never really been to much. And our stops included one winery, one brewery, one distillery, and then a glam picnic in the park, which was
That
really
looks
cute.
so fun.
It was fun. They had pillows and they had a cute table and they had a balloon arch, and it was fun. Probably the best drink I had all day it was called the Pickled Governor.
I saw that and I was intrigued because I didn't know what type of tours you went on. I thought of the winery and I thought, where would there be a pickle drink at a
I was
winery?
at the Big Springs Distillery, and
Ah.
it tasted like a spicy pickle, like
Oh
a
my
sweet and
gosh.
sassy pickle. It was delicious, and there were pickles in it. So
Ooh,
it
wow.
was. I mean, it was a day from we got picked up at 10 a.m. Joey picked me, and then back up at 7:30 at night. So
Day full of drinking.
it was a day full of drinking. You could tell we're all in our 30s because the bus picked us up outside of in front of a convenience store, and we all went in and got a fresh pack of gum and Diet Cokes for
Oh
the
my
bus ride home.
gosh. Oh, love that. You're like, we need this.
So it was a lot of fun, but no one was super, like, it was not a go crazy, get wasted
No
kind of
one got
bachelorette.
rowdy.
Like, we all got tipsy, but I mean, it was not anything, like some other bachelorettes or nights at my own I experienced, because it was one during the day, and two, a lot of people had to go home and then take care of their kids.
Oh yeah, yeah. You have to go home to
it's
them.
like I can only have so much fun. But
I mean, you can get wasted if you want. It might just be like,
if you want, but I think they just realize they've learned of, I'm gonna save that. And so we got home, it was fine, but man, I just woke up this morning and alcohol, that's my low. Alcohol hits different in your 30s, and it's not even necessarily a hangover. It's just the long-term effects of alcohol in your body, which is a hangover.
yeah.
But it feels different.
The symptoms are different, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not nauseous or like anything like that. I'm just whooped. And so we played tennis this morning, and
that's great.
Dad and Joe, I got smoked.
Wait, you played doubles, so who all played?
No, we just rotate through the three of us.
Oh, got it.
Who plays each other. So, yeah, but I mean, to be honest, my worst today was what my best used to be. So that's good.
Yeah.
My hungover tennis is better than my tennis 2 years ago.
That's awesome. So. That's something to, you cheer yourself on for.
Yes.
I love that. So, also, didn't you have a funny story of one of the girls on the trip?
This cracked me up, and I texted this to Emily in like a group chat we have with our siblings and our mom and our Aunt Kathy. And Lauren's sister-in-law was there, and we had never met before, and I introduced myself, or I was introduced as Becca Peffer.
No.
So obviously she would have no idea that my name is Becca Shaw. Let's just set the stage there. And her and I were talking at the one brewery, and she goes, it's so funny. Does anyone ever tell you have a doppelganger? And I responded, oh, like a celebrity. And in my head, I'm thinking Amanda Bynes, Jennifer Aniston. Let's think of like a really cute person I look like, maybe.
Margot Robbie, right?
Margot Robbie, yeah. I was getting ready to be complimented. And so...
Oh, well, okay. It was a compliment.
Okay. Getting a little ahead of ourselves. But so I said, oh, like I look like a celebrity or something like that. And she goes, no, it's more of a real person. And I said, oh, I wonder if I would know this person. Who is it? She goes, well, she's on Instagram. It's this girl, Dairy Girl Fitness. Her name is Emily.
Oh my gosh.
There was 15 of us there. Every other single girl at the table was like, shut up, Katura. Are you serious? That's her sister. She goes, what? And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
My name, like my maiden name is Shaw. Emily is my sister. And she says, shut up. You look exactly like her.
So we do look alike, I guess. People always said it, but like, I see it in moments.
I think it's really the hair. So like the short hair, and especially the way I had it styled kind of like this yesterday with a little bit more curl, which looks how you style it a lot. And I think I especially drinking, we have the same mannerisms, exaggerated faces, those kinds of things. You
That's
just can't make that
hilarious.
kind of stuff up. That this girl who went to a neighboring town in
Yep.
school.
And
So it
she's my
turns out
age.
she is your age, and
Yep.
so it turns out one of her friends was one of your prior clients,
Yeah, like kind of
and
one of
so
my OGs.
yeah, and so she had followed you then and has just followed you since and said, yeah, she's so educational. I learned so many things. I love her recipes.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, and then that sparked a debate of if the whole table follows you. Like everyone there knew who you were. And
love
that
it.
sparked a debate of if we liked you and I better with long blonde hair or shorter, more natural hair.
Oh gosh.
Table was split.
Table was split. Yeah,
Yeah. I think people who like you, like say, tell her to bring the long blonde hair back, is because you have, but the long blonde hair was just so luxurious. Everyone just wanted that hair because you had slash have movie
Yeah.
star hair. So
Oh, thank you. Thank you so
yeah,
much. I think I'm gonna go more blonde for the summer. I
yeah.
don't know
I
if I'm
think
gonna bring the long hair.
short blonder might be the
Yeah,
best of
I think I
both
might
worlds this summer.
step away from the dark side and
The
step back
assassin
into the light
era.
a little bit. Yeah. Well,
But
that's
yeah,
hilarious.
that
Yeah.
was such a funny story. It reminded me of, well, similar experiences we've had. You know, we were at Bedford Springs for a sister weekend. A
Mm-hmm.
girl brings us up cupcakes or something we ordered for room service, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're Dairy Girl Fitness. I follow you."
And I'm
So
like, what?
it's still just funny every single time someone who is not either random or not a part of our lives that
Mm-hmm.
speaks about you as Dairy Girl Fitness, but not associating you as Emily or my sister.
Yeah.
It's just surreal. So
I know
that was a funny
it's funny
story.
moments, and it's just a little ego boost too. You know, sometimes you
Yeah,
just need it. Like, oh, thank you.
yeah.
You know me.
And I mean, I know neither of us are Margot Robbie, but I will still, anytime someone, especially in person, when people are like, "Oh, are you Emily?" And I'm like, "I sure am. Look at how fit my body is."
Yeah, I can deadlift
Yeah,
and hip thrust too.
look at me. I look great.
Well, you
Oh,
do look great,
yeah,
but
yeah. But it,
just
and then it was so funny because everyone knew you, and it was a joke that we could all be in on. So it was
yeah,
fun.
I love it. Well, for
Yeah.
my highs and lows, I feel like I kind of leaned being more into you because I
Mm-hmm.
finally freaking played pickleball. Actually, today, right before, well, this morning, and then I even think I'm going to play more tonight because it was so much fun. But I know started playing pickleball. I mean, a year or two ago, and now you're getting more into tennis. And
Yeah.
we've had our what do you call them, paddles? We've had this set
Yeah.
since I think we got around Christmas time. And I don't know why we just haven't played yet. There's a ton of courts around us. I don't know if we just thought, oh, maybe it's not actually that fun, or maybe I always thought the rules are just way hard to learn. It's going to take a lot to pick up. But we just went and played today with two of our friends who've only played once before. And it was honestly it is really so much fun. And you really start to quickly get into it and get excited.
Yeah. It's
And
easier to it's
mhm.
low barrier to be
Yes.
like to be good at it. It's a low
Yeah.
barrier of entry to actually be able to participate and get
Yes.
good volleys, to get good rallies going, to get competitive. It's a
Hmm.
lot easier than tennis. It's pretty
Yeah.
it can get hard, especially when you're playing people who are really good and are spiking it and
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I tried spike.
So
I did spike it a few times, which I guess we just watched a video to give us all of the lowdown
I
on
was
it.
gonna
And
say the rules aren't intuitive. Some of the rules are
yeah,
kind of silly. So did they know the rules and they just told you the rules and the
no,
scoring and all of that, or did you
they
just kind of
didn't.
make it up as you went?
We read the rules beforehand while we got there because when they had played by themselves, I think they kind of just,
You
played
just
back
had
and
it back
forth
and
between
forth.
each other.
Yep.
But we played the rules and quickly. So then when we watched it back afterwards, the whole video, we pretty much were pretty spot on with the roles and how we had played. I think what we need to improve on, apparently you're supposed to like switch sides or, your sides of the court. And then also on the serve and then the return back, you have to let it bounce once. So
Yeah.
we need to get better at that. And otherwise, though, I think we played pretty on par with the roles. There was one time there's the front of it towards the net. It's that space called the
the
kitchen.
The
Yeah.
kitchen,
And
yeah.
okay,
Were
you
you
can't.
hanging out in the kitchen?
No, we did know that beforehand of, hey, you can't spike in the kitchen, or if it's in
Well, you
there.
can't. You just can't be in the kitchen.
Yeah. And so, or yeah, you have to let it bounce, whatnot. And there was one time that we were going back and forth so much that I realized I got up to the net and I like spiked it. And I was like, ah, shit, I'm not supposed to do that. Because you get caught in the moment and it is so much fun to want to hit it. And we played volleyball. And I mean, that's how you do volleyball. And so we kind of got caught in the moment sometimes of, I really just wanted to hit the ball hard and then you miss it or have a bad shot. And so you do have to be strategic with it. And again, it was our first time, but already just playing that, you recognize that you can really get caught up in it and want to just pound the ball.
Yeah. You can't get caught in no man's land either.
Mm-mm.
So you've either got to be back or at the net playing hard. But pickleball is so much fun. And I feel that there's a lot of pickleball in Florida.
Yeah, well,
it is definitely
the weather, right?
a big retired sport, like a retirement sport.
Yeah.
And today it poured this morning, so we couldn't play outside because it's a lot. There's a local park that's open to the public in the summer where we usually go play tennis. But because on Sundays at the gym where we'll usually rent a court, we're competing with pickleball on Sunday mornings. I feel like a lot of older friend groups, they come to play pickleball after church.
Oh my gosh.
And they're redoing these courts, these inside courts, and they're gonna make a couple of them permanent pickleball courts because right now a lot of people just tape. But it's a big thing.
It's the fastest growing sport in the country.
Yeah, because it's just fun and easy to play.
And like you said, it's so accessible.
Fun that you're doing it. Yeah, it is accessible.
I'm very excited. And yeah, in Florida, I feel like, I don't know if it started in Florida, but it would honestly make sense if it started in Florida. And there are,
I don't know.
There are a good amount of pickleball courts, and we're members of a country club just so we can golf, but they also have a couple locations, and one of their clubhouses has an area and has 6 pickleball courts. And so it's fantastic.
Just don't underestimate if you see a little old lady walking down the court.
I won't.
She's gonna smoke you.
Well, I've got to get better and then I'll compete.
She plays smart, not hard. That's how they play.
Yeah. And it's fun and easy to get caught up in the hard part. If I'm going to smack this, I'm going to spike it. Yeah.
Well, so the same gal, I'm actually going to play tennis again tonight. And the same gal that I'm playing tennis with, she's married to one of Joey's best friends, who was his best man at the wedding. And so we'll play pickleball sometimes because they have a pickleball court that we can play at. And in Anthony, his friend, in his best man speech, he made a comment about, no, I will never stop spiking pickleballs in your face. Like, because he and Joe just love to spike the ball.
Oh my gosh.
Whitney and I. And we just know as soon as we see them go up and launch their arm, we just dive. Like, if it goes in, you can have the point. I want nothing to do with this.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get hit in the face with this wiffle ball type thing that's going to leave some crazy marks.
No. But that's fun. I'm excited for you to come home, or maybe even at the beach at our vacation this year. We can go find some pickleball courts and play.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's such a great idea. And it'll be a nice break too, because my low for the week, and honestly the whole summer, is that it's officially a Florida summer, and it's just so freaking hot out. I know most people look forward to summer, and that's when life begins for them. It's kind of the off season in Florida, honestly, because it is just, I mean, of course there's still people here. We're still outside doing things. I mean, we played pickleball today, but it is so toasty this weekend too. It's high 90s and it is just roasting. Yeah. So we get the sunshine, but it's very hot. I get a tan line just walking Hudson outside, which we tan easily, but you get nice and bronzed, and it'll be nice to be able to come up north for the beach trip. And if we do anything else, to just get a break from the Florida summer, because it is freaking toasty in Florida already.
You can't go outside without, I know you shouldn't go outside without putting sunscreen on your face, probably ever. But in Florida, you can't even walk your dog without sunscreen.
No. So I wear daily sunscreen on my face, and I should probably get better about it on my shoulders and such. But I was going to wear it for pickleball this morning. I didn't. And even my shoulders just got a little bit burnt from playing pickleball.
Ooh, I just started using the La Roche-Posay, or
Yep.
however you say that. Their sunscreen's pretty good. Their face
Ooh.
stuff. Yeah.
Ooh.
Their face stuff in there, I just use it on my shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's always
So,
what
so
really
it's a
takes the
little
brunt of
more
it.
intense than I would say, more daily or makeup like
Yeah.
sunscreen, the more heavy duty sunscreen. It's really nice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably going to have to look into it, or
Oh,
just
I can't
some
wait to
sort
play
of.
pickleball at the beach this year.
I'm going to be a pro at that point. That's also the fun part of when you started it. You realize that since it is such an accessible game, it is really fun to play. You want to keep doing more of it. I was like, I'm going to go pro in this. That's it. I've decided I am going
Have
to become a
you,
professional.
did you by any chance, I don't know why you would have, watched the National Pickleball Championships
No, I've
last
never
year?
watched pickleball, but I can imagine it is. I'm not saying I'm a pro and it's easy to be at that level, but it just, I'm assuming it starts to get insane and very fast paced.
There's this, it's just funny that we were watching that because we're like, oh, this is
It is
awesome. So
random.
now we always watch pickleball. We always watch tennis. Like we watched the French Open finals
Oh yeah.
today. But the pickleball, there's this girl who was just crushing everyone in doubles and singles. So they have doubles and
Damn.
singles just like
Uh-huh.
tennis. And I think, did they have singles? Anyways, doesn't matter. She was crazy. I think she's a teenager.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
just
So she's
kicking
quick.
everybody's ass. Yeah. And she could, yeah, it was crazy. She was just dominating everyone. I thought, I could have never guessed 10 years ago. What do you think life will be like in your 30s? I'm cheering on a teenager who is a national champion at this sport called pickleball.
Yeah, it
This
full
is
circle for you
crazy.
though, right? You love
Yeah.
pickles, so it makes sense. It's in your life again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, just drinking pickled governors, playing pickleball.
Living the dream, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, this isn't a pickleball podcast, though. This is
Could be. Maybe
it
if
could
once I
be.
keep playing, we can make an episode about it, but we have other matters to discuss today other than pickleball. And that is, yeah, June
Ooh.
Dairy Month. We love and
Yes.
celebrate dairy year round over here, but June Dairy Month is one of our favorites that really just gives a little more attention and gives more of a light onto dairy products and the people behind it. And honestly, I'm really intrigued about the history of it. And so, Becca, I'm excited for you to dive into that because I don't even think I know when and how it got started exactly.
Yeah, there's a couple of different resources I pulled up, all dairy based, but I thought this quick paragraph was a really good way to explain it from IDFA, or International Dairy Foods
Mm-hmm.
Association. So I learned this a couple of years ago and I was like, oh my gosh, what a unique way to solve a problem, and something that has just turned into this kind of rally cry for the dairy industry every year. So, National Dairy Month started out as National Milk Month in 1937 as a way to promote drinking milk. It was initially created to stabilize the dairy demand when production was at a surplus, but has now developed into an annual tradition that celebrates the contributions the dairy industry has made to the world after made to the world. Oh, okay. And so then it was originally started by grocer organizations. I have not been able to
Oh,
find the names of those grocer organizations, but the National Dairy Council stepped in to promote the cause, and the name soon changed to Dairy Month. So it was they just had all of this milk and all of these
mm-hmm.
that they had to sell before it went bad, and they had a surplus of it. So they thought, okay, during the month of June, let's create National Milk Month and do all of these promotions to work our way through the surplus of milk that we have. So I'm not sure. It doesn't say here the year that it transitioned, when the National Dairy Council picked it up and
Mm-hmm.
really started driving it home as National Dairy Month. But I mean, now if you just Google it, I have an article up from our American Dairy Association Northeast checkoff program that talks about it. And then another website that is the Dairy Alliance that talks about it. So
Yeah, that's
it,
where I'm at.
yeah, yeah. And so it is just, everybody does it now. It's not So in March we talked about National Ag
Ag
Month,
Day.
Ag
Mhm.
Day. Yeah, so
And month.
National Ag Day has it's like a whole a formal campaign put on by a company.
Mhm.
National Dairy Month is more of a collective and collaborative month where a
Mhm.
lot of different organizations come together and really use it as a way to, I think it's twofold. One, it's a way to promote and celebrate
Mhm.
internally amongst the dairy industry. So I feel like a lot of it is just us celebrating with
Yeah.
one another. And then from a consumer perspective, I feel like still more so they are interacting with it. Yes, on social media from dairy accounts, but a lot of retailers and grocers,
Mhm.
they love to have a theme as a way to create these selling events to promote and push product. So there will be a lot of price reductions on dairy or a lot of cool campaigns or coupons or promotions that they're running around dairy products this month. And that's I think how consumers interact with it a lot is
Mhm.
whenever they're shopping in the grocery store. So
Yeah.
grocers still have a big part in it. It's just you and I probably experience more of the let's celebrate with one another
Yeah.
and then reach consumers with our celebrations and sharing our story. And
Yep.
then the retailers are driving the purchase using this. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
it's
so
cool.
intriguing. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and okay, I have a few thoughts around it. And first, with that, you kind of talked about okay, the campaign side of it, or more so like Ag Day, or even
Mhm.
I think it was Earth Day too. They kind of have
Yeah.
specific
They always
themes
have a
with it.
theme. They always have a
Yeah,
theme.
and with World Milk Day, that's part of June or National Dairy Month, but it's
Hmm.
obviously on the global scale. And that is always on June 1st. And that
Hmm.
itself, that does kind of have a little bit of a campaign. And I only really know that it has a theme because I actually looked it up when I posted. And
Hmm.
this year's theme for World Milk Day, which again is kind of the kickoff of National Dairy Month, it
Hmm.
says, we will focus on celebrating the vital role dairy plays in delivering quality nutrition to nourish the world. Dairy is an accessible, affordable, and nutrient dense food and an essential part of balanced diets across the world. So I know that's not
Yeah.
necessarily a specific theme, but I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. And the history, I just looked up the history of it quick. So, because they're still technically, they're two separate events created by Dairy Month and then World Milk Day are still created and technically owned by two different
Yep.
organizations. And at worldmilkday.org, so similar to National Ag Day, it has its own website.
Mm-hmm.
It says in 2001, World Milk Day was
Oh,
established by the Food and Agricultural Organization, or the FAO, of the United Nations to recognize the importance of milk as a global food and to celebrate the dairy sector. So something I want to dig more into, it doesn't have a quick answer here, is why they picked June 1st, because June Dairy Month feels like a very national celebration, and this is a
yeah.
global celebration. So, do you know if it's a coincidence or was it on
Well,
purpose?
I only have some thoughts that I was kind of thinking of when you started talking about it and
Hmm.
talking about it when National Dairy Month got started about being a surplus of milk. I wondered if that happened because that was by the grocers, if they had started it then because school gets out. And with school being out, there's not as much milk being sent to schools. So is there a potential surplus that then everyone needs a little bit of help with? And so maybe that's where June got started as National Dairy Month. That's just a total guess because I didn't
Well,
look that up, but that was just kind of a thought I had and maybe even a
yeah.
question. And then since National Dairy Month, which started way sooner than I thought, I didn't realize it went back to the 30s. If it became so big in the United States that the United Nation is like, hey, this is already happening. Let's just pair it with what they're doing. And as the United States is one of the biggest dairy markets in the world, if it just
Hmm.
makes sense kind of pairing it with what we're already doing.
Yep.
Those are just thoughts.
It doesn't say, so it doesn't say on the website if they
How they
just
picked that.
how they conveniently picked June 1st on a
Mm-hmm.
global scale. So if any of our followers know why is it June 1st and does it
Or
have
even
anything
for
to
June
do?
Dairy Month. Why June?
Yeah, I think, no, that's a good question. I don't know if schools would have had anything to do with it in the 30s.
I don't know. Yeah, that was just a thought that I had because I know ice cream month is in July, but that makes sense because it's summertime, ice
Hmm.
cream, all of the fun outdoor activities.
Yeah. We'll talk. I'll Google ice cream in July. I won't go
Yeah,
down that
we can
rabbit
have an
hole
ice cream
now.
dedicated episode
But
then.
yeah, no, those are some good questions. I just know that's when it was started, and that's how it has just kind of played out. So it is super convenient that World Milk Day kicks off June Dairy Month. So,
Yeah.
but one of like the things that these websites I'm on that talk about the history of National Dairy Month or June is Dairy Month is they use this as a time, I feel like, at the retailer and grocery level and at a farmer, storytelling level, that they talk a lot about the nutritional benefits of milk and the
Mm-hmm.
versatility of milk in cooking, in diets, in an affordable and accessible cart. So I'm curious, what are some of the nutritional benefits of milk that you get most jazzed about?
Yes, I get so jazzed about it. And it truly is even the reason that I started Dairy Girl Fitness, which again is my other brand, but I started it
Mhm.
because we both obviously love dairy so much. We love the industry, and milk and dairy products truly are a really amazing addition to a healthy, well balanced diet. And I think maybe people have always kind of known that, or back in the day, it was always just a part of diets because there really wasn't much competition for dairy and for milk. But now that there are so many different options out there, there's many alternatives. I think it's more important than ever that we really continue talking about the nutritional benefits of milk and dairy products because it really is. It's a nutrient powerhouse. Milk, let's just bring it back to milk, right? Because that's where all dairy products come from. A serving of milk has 13 essential nutrients, and most of those are going to be naturally occurring nutrients, which, again, that in itself is a wonderful, affordable, and accessible, and personally, I think a delicious way to get in a lot of nutrients very easily. And I just think
Yeah.
that fact in itself is so cool. It used to be 9 essential nutrients, is how we talked about it, but then they realized actually there's even more in there. And now we talk about it as 13 essential nutrients.
Yeah. So who knows how many? Yeah, it was 9, then 12, and now 13.
Mm-hmm.
On the Dairy Alliance, something interesting that they talk about related to the essential nutrients is that there are 3 of the 4 biggest nutrients that are typically lacking in American diets, which are calcium, potassium. Whoa.
Combining words.
I said potassium, which is calcium and potassium, and vitamin D.
Yeah.
So
And
that's pretty cool. Um, that it's an easy, low calorie way and
mm-hmm.
affordable way to get in a bunch of nutrients, including 3 that we're all probably lacking in based on just
Yeah.
our typical diets.
Yeah. Love that. And one of those essential nutrients is protein.
Mm-hmm.
And the really great thing about dairy and animal products in general, that the protein in those products is going to be a complete protein source. Basically meaning your body is going to more easily digest it and absorb it, and your body's really just going to be able to utilize it in an incredible way. And so milk in itself, let's say a serving of it, which is 8 ounces, minimum is going to have 8 grams of protein. And now there are some other brands out there that are going to have more protein, like Fairlife, for example. But then milk is so wonderful because I think you had already said it, it's so versatile. It can be changed and created into so many amazing products that have even more protein and can really serve even different purposes. So we have Greek yogurt, we have cottage cheese, and let's even say whey protein powder. All of those are going to have 20 plus grams of protein for like a cup of them, or for protein powder, be a scoop of that. And again, because dairy is something that is very affordable, it just can allow people to get in more nutrients, more protein, which is very lacking in most people's diet, in a much easier, convenient way. And I just think it's so cool how dairy can be turned into so many amazing products, but especially on the protein side. It's something that myself, and I know you utilize it a lot, but it's something our clients that we really suggest adding into their diet if they like dairy, if they want to. That it's such an easy thing to add into your day, whether it's your main portion of the meal, whether it's a little kind of a snack, addition, whatever, to really just bump up that protein and then also in turn getting in a lot of those essential nutrients.
Yeah. And, you were digging into it a little bit, but milk, the milk industry or the dairy industry has done, I think, a good job of recognizing and realizing that there are different types of consumers who might not be able to drink milk as is. So
Mm-hmm.
they're innovative from the perspective of look at all of these ways we can use milk to create new products, but
Mm-hmm.
also how can we make sure milk is accessible to everyone? You
Yeah.
know, okay, so if you have a milk allergy, like a genuine milk allergy,
Yeah.
well then
Don't drink
that's
milk.
this you're not a part. Sorry, that really stinks. But a lot of people have shown a sensitivity to
Mm-hmm.
the sugars in milk. So lactose, or our bodies aren't producing enough of the lactase enzyme to naturally digest milk. So it's not accessible to someone like me, who is true
Mm-hmm.
life. I'm a lactose intolerant dairy farmer.
Boo.
I know. People, I mean, still to this day, I'm literally a brand manager for a milk brand. And when people realize I'm lactose intolerant, they say, "Are you like allowed to be?" I don't know,
Like,
but it
sorry, I didn't
stinks.
choose this.
So there are now dairy products that are lactose free, which essentially they're adding in that lactase enzyme for you so your body can digest it.
Mm,
And then there's also A2 milk if people have,
yeah.
an issue with digesting one of the certain proteins in milk. So I feel like the milk industry understands how good the product is that they have, and that how can we make sure as many people as possible can be able to consume this and leverage this in a healthy diet. So
Yeah.
I love that they have those options that allow just about anyone to drink milk. It's really hard to have an
Mm-hmm.
excuse from a
Exactly.
perspective of, unless you have an allergy or it is
Yeah.
just, for
Preference.
other reason, a preference, um, of not being able to drink it or consume it in other ways because it's just so accessible at this point.
Yeah. I love that we're continuing to get really creative with it because I think for a long time, again, there wasn't a lot of competition for milk or dairy products. So maybe we didn't necessarily have to be. But now that there
Hmm.
are so many products on the grocery shelves, I mean, we were
Yeah.
talking with the Painterland sisters like last
Yeah.
season, it's just an insane amount of options and different choices. So
Yeah.
we have to continue showcasing dairy, what it
Hmm.
can do, how it can be incorporated, how it can create basically less resistance to buying it. So, okay, we have lactose free things now. So don't have to worry about that. And I even think one of the, I would say maybe barriers that people think to, oh, I don't want to consume dairy because of this is because gut health is also really popular right now. And there'll be some people out there who talk about dairy isn't good for you, inflammation, things like that. But a lot of dairy products can be really great for gut health. It can really help with creating some really healthy bacteria in there. It could be Greek yogurt. We have cottage cheese now with some added probiotics. Kefir is going to be a fantastic dairy product for really helping with a healthy gut. And now, if you want milk or there's ice cream, there's so many options that are also lactose free that you can now consume, and you're not going to bother your digestive system at all with it.
Yeah. And I think too, Emmy, before we were recording, we were talking about this, is that there's so much science out there. There are so many opinions out there that people just have a lot more available to them to decide what their preferences are. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe, even though my preference is not milk alternatives, someone else might have that preference of almond milk or oat milk or something in their cart. I know some of my friends like oat milk because they like the texture in their
Just kidding.
coffee.
I know. Yeah. How
They
dare
like the
you're
texture in
listening?
their
I know.
coffee, but man, they
Yeah.
eat the most yogurt of any
Yep.
person I've met, or they use a lot of butter, or they eat a lot of cheese, which are these products that use even more milk and come at a higher
Mm-hmm.
margin. So what
Yeah.
I always like to talk about, and I know I've learned from a lot of my friends that are also in the industry of promoting milk or dairy as like a general commodity or category, is
Mm-hmm.
that there is space in the cart for everybody. And it's
Yeah.
dairy has continued to find ways and to innovate to make sure that we still have that space in the cart, whether it's fluid milk, whether it's a higher protein milk based option, whether it's a cheese or a yogurt or a kefir, etc. So I think that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool that our industry is making sure to evolve with the type of consumer that we have. And another thing we called out is that a reason why there is not space in my cart for alternative milks is that, I mean, they're usually about twice as much. There are
Mm-hmm.
some milk brands that are, competitive in price with alternatives.
Alternative milk brands, yeah.
Yeah. So, but in general, on average, non-dairy alternatives are typically twice the price, and they have half the nutrients. So it's like, okay. And I think I was reading, I'm pretty sure this was a pretty recent article, that on average, it's about 25 cents per 8 ounce like glass of milk or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And I think that's using the numbers of just like a classic gallon of milk,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what they're priced at. So when you want to talk about, we've said the word accessible a lot. We've also said the word affordable a lot. It doesn't get much better than milk.
Boom. Mic drop. I always get so excited about talking about these things
Now,
because
mind you, I'm out there buying the fancy dairy milks with like extra
yeah,
protein, lower sugar. Now that stuff's expensive, or
that's
more
going to be
expensive than a
comparable.
classic. And lactose free is also a higher price because it's a value added product. So
Mm-hmm.
I am paying, but still, that's something that I love how I feel
Yeah.
if I'm low on protein, and honestly, if I'm low on dairy, I can like tell. Or if I'm low on
Yeah.
vegetables. Those are the three things that my body's like, ugh, ugh,
Yeah.
feel me, which is how I feel today.
Help me. Help
Because
me.
we ate hot dogs at the winery, so I'm like,
Ooh. Good hot dog, man.
yeah,
Delicious.
yeah.
But those
Hot
are
dog and rosé.
hot
Anyways,
dog and rosé. Okay, so today's agenda, dairy products and vegetables.
yeah.
But I'd love
So
also, before we move on, to maybe talk more about the dairy industry side. Is, yeah, how you said we always just find space in the cart, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy other products. And I think what's so important about the conversations we need to continue having as a dairy industry is not shaming people for making other choices, but continuing to just showcase why our products are so great, why they're so versatile, and what the benefits are of including those. Because even as you had said, some of your friends, and I know people as well, that just because you maybe eat some of the other alternatives, it doesn't mean you hate dairy. So it doesn't have to be either or. It can be and, right? We can maybe have oat milk in their coffee. Not us, not us. But they can also have the Greek yogurt and the butter. And so I think that's just going to continue to probably be the normal. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but we need to just continue showcasing dairy of when whatever way you incorporate it, it's really great thing to have in your diet.
yeah. So we have told you all about why you should be drinking milk. But Emmy, I know that you and I always get questions from our friends, or you get
Mm-hmm.
questions from your followers, or about what are maybe some misconceptions around the actual dairy food products or
Yeah.
dairy farming. So, what are some of the most common ones that you hear about?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we wanted to incorporate this part into because the milk doesn't just appear, it comes from the dairy farms, right? And it makes sure.
Yeah, you've heard like the stories of, oh, where does milk come from? The grocery store?
Yeah, like what do you mean?
Technically not wrong, but not quite what we asked. So where does
Yeah.
it come from, and what are some of the misconceptions, right?
Yep. Yeah, there's a little more behind the scenes. And so to produce a safe and healthy, nutritious product that is milk to get to the store, it all starts at the dairy farm. And for us, we grew up in it. And so we know that there is a lot of care, time, effort, and resources and science put into dairy farming. Not everyone knows that. And a lot of people maybe don't want to believe that. So I would say there's a couple misconceptions that we hear very often about. And one of them, and these two kind of tie together, would be okay, animal welfare and or factory farming. And again, I can totally understand why people want to make sure that the cows are taken care of. That's a very important part of what we do. And I think these two kind of tie together because very often in the consumer space and in the activist space, what they really try to push is that when it comes to farms, big equals bad. And if there's a lot of animals on a dairy farm, that means the animals aren't taken care of. And I think people potentially still have an idea that if they want to support local or they want milk from a good farm, it has to be small and it has to be local. And in reality, with having to produce food for more people and a growing population, dairy farms are probably going to continue increasing in size, but that doesn't mean that animal welfare isn't a top priority. I feel like the easiest way to describe it and almost kind of debunk the myth is when cows are happy, they're going to produce more milk and it's going to be a better product. So happy cows are always going to be an important investment and priority for our farmers.
Yeah. And I mean, a happy cow is a cow that's comfortable. It's a cow that is well fed. Her body is
Mm-hmm.
maintained. Her nutrition is on point, just like our nutrition is on point. She has space. She's clean. She has access to fresh water. She has comfortable temperatures,
Mm-hmm.
all the things. And, you know, there are different numbers in the high 90s that you'll see, but let's go with 98% of farms here in the US are family owned. So even though
Mm-hmm.
they may be larger or one family might have a couple of sites, it is still a family run business. And often, you know, one of my past internships was even working through transition planning of these farms. So
Mm-hmm.
it really is it's multi-generational. It really is many of their aspirations or their dreams to make sure that these businesses stay within the family as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, just because it's big and that was the business decision that they made that made sense for their profits or for how they had to operate, that doesn't mean they're just some monster machine run factory
Yeah.
that doesn't have the love and care from a family that are just completely and totally dedicated to the livelihood of these animals. And so there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of great farmers out there, and there are a lot of great dairy brands that have started to share more on their social media pages or their websites of, here is the criteria that we put on these farms to ensure the sustainability and the sustainability of the operation and the welfare of their animals for
Mm-hmm.
us to take their milk. So it's a lot of these farms, whether it be one that might be have their own niche brand or one that sells into a larger brand, like farmers who might sell into Walmart milk, or
Yeah.
they might sell into Food Lion milk, or whatever grocery store you might shop at. They've agreed on criteria for producing these products. So we all get it, and there's always room for continuous improvement.
Mm-hmm.
But I would just highly encourage, if people don't already, to follow your favorite dairy brands.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's a
they'll
good point.
probably, and that's an easy place to start. Follow your favorite dairy brands. Follow, check off, so DMI or American Dairy Association Northeast or the Dairy Alliance or things like
Yep.
that, because then a lot of times they'll share farmers.
Yeah.
And so then that gives you an easy way to find farmers that are in your local area to follow as well, just to be reassured of what people are doing.
Yeah, that's such a good place to start because there are, of course, a lot of farmers and such on social media, but if you're not involved in the space at all, it can feel overwhelming trying to find
Yeah.
them. So I loved your idea of, yeah, just kind of going to the source that is the 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 actual milk products themselves. And a few kind of fun facts with that as well is that other than the milk brands and maybe those co-ops having standards, there's also a national organization that also gives standards and checks up on these dairy farms for animal welfare that they have to meet. And we've talked about it a few times on other episodes, but dairy cows are literally taken care of like Olympic athletes. They have a
Yeah.
specialist for just about everything. You
Mhm.
have people going onto the farm, aside from farmers, you have nutritionists, you have the vets, you have people coming in for hoof care, you have people coming in to make sure the temperatures are correct. You have people coming in to take like blood tests of the cows to make sure that their levels are where they need to be. I mean, there truly is so much collaboration to go into dairy farming to make sure that these dairy cows are going to be taken care of and comfortable. And it's just, there really is so much that goes into it that you may not realize. And again, that goes on at small farms or big farms because it really is something that just provides a better experience for everyone. And it's the standard for us. We want animals to be taken care of.
Yep. And I think that leads into another misconception that's big,
Mm-hmm.
which would be antibiotics and hormones in milk. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, animals get sick. But there are a lot of things that happen to make sure that one, an animal doesn't become antibiotic resistant, right? So we've got to also consider the welfare of the animal and how we're managing antibiotics so they're still effective for
Mm-hmm.
them. And then also so it doesn't reach the milk supply that goes out for consumption. So
Yeah.
all antibiotics are given at the discretion or with the, at the discretion of
Yep.
their veterinarian. And so it's, if an animal is sick, like when people say, oh, well, why do you use antibiotics? It's like, well, why? You can't tell me, in my opinion, that you care
Mm-hmm.
about the welfare of an animal and then also don't want us to use antibiotics or vaccines.
And have them
Like
taken care of.
that's just incredibly hypocritical to me. And so,
Yep.
and maybe it's because there's nothing worse than seeing an animal that is not at its best or
Mm-hmm.
is sick or hurt in some way. Like there's nothing worse than that. And so when this animal is given these antibiotics, there are strict rules to follow of like, when do they get milked? How is that milk disposed? How do we make sure the antibiotics in that milk don't reach the supply that gets on the milk truck? And how do we make sure that we are identifying this cow's illness correctly to make sure we're giving her antibiotics that work and it's not just giving them medicine to give them medicine, right? So
Yeah.
it's two-part there, both from you know, the animal's welfare and then also the consumer's well-being. And
Mm-hmm.
so then when a milk reaches the bulk tank, which is this cooling unit where it's stored on farm, before a milk truck driver comes and picks it up and takes it to be pasteurized, they test for
Mm-hmm.
hormone levels and antibiotic levels because many farms have signed agreements that they don't use, there's always going to be hormones because there's just hormones in everything. Like there's
Yep.
natural
Plant,
hormone.
animals.
Yeah, there's hormones in everything. However, there are a lot of agreements that previous hormone products that were used to increase production of
Mm-hmm.
animals aren't used anymore. So the milk is tested. Is there any antibiotics in it? What's the bacteria count? Is this safe for consumption?
Yeah.
And so it's tested before it leaves the farm. And if it doesn't meet the requirements of wherever the milk is going, whether that be a processor or a store or whatever, or a brand, sorry, then it doesn't leave the farm. It gets dumped.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of money down the drain, literally.
Yes.
And so then after it leaves there, it's tested again. Let's say when it gets to a milk processing plant, let's just make sure again that this milk is good. And then it's pasteurized in, whatever way that processor pasteurizes to make sure it kills all of the bacteria and that milk is safe and ready for consumption. And then it's tested again while it's on the line. So gallons of milk are pulled and sent through rigorous,
Yep.
like all kinds of different testing. Like they stress this milk out to make sure that whatever could possibly happen when it can, like this milk leaves this plant, is it safe if like it is handled properly?
Yeah.
Yes. And then it is tested again once it's put on the truck and often stored. Yeah. So it's like tested at multiple points to make
Yeah.
sure nothing has happened to it. And that was a long winded way to say antibiotics
Milk
and
rules.
hormones, you're good. Like you really are good.
Yeah. No, I know
So,
when it is, there is so much that goes on behind the scenes that people don't realize
yeah.
that makes milk so safe. And like you said at the beginning, like humans, animals get sick. And for anyone
Mm-hmm.
listening, if you've ever been sick, if your children have gone sick, I'm sure you've gotten them antibiotics. And again, even if those are given to any animals on a farm, there are strict regulations following that. And if antibiotics are overused or found in milk, that's just a very expensive problem for dairy farmers. And so it's not
Yeah.
something that's used and abused on dairy farms. Medicine is not cheap. It's not something farmers want to use if they don't have to. And then when it comes to that milk getting to the store, I think milk is one of the most regulated and one of the most tested food products on the market. And
Yeah.
milk never touches human hands. It goes right from the udder into the bulk tank, into the processor, into the dairy store. And so it truly is one of the most regulated products out there in the market. And whether you are buying conventional milk, which would just be like, let's say, a regular gallon from Publix, because that's where we shop,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's organic, grass fed, at the like farmer's market, whatever it may be, all milk that you are going to be buying that is regulated in that capacity is always going to be antibiotic free. So
Yeah.
that goes for all animal products. If you want to buy organic or if you want to buy conventional, you can know that it's going to be absolutely antibiotic free because, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
Becca, you heard the standards and the regulation that goes on behind it. That's not going to
Yeah.
ever get into the store. And yeah, when it comes to hormones, everything has hormones, and synthetic hormones really just aren't used in the dairy industry anymore. And
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact numbers, but there is this really cool graphic that just shows the amount of like naturally occurring hormones that would be in beef or in milk, and comparing that to even other plant products or other accessories that people use in their life that also contain hormones. The animal hormones are so
Yeah.
small.
And I think that's part of just the way that any misconception that there is, I feel like, is derived from someone on the other side of a
Yes.
situation
Yep.
who is trying to differentiate themselves and market themselves differently. So let's just think about, like, there are hormones in everything. And I
Yeah.
think people don't like, somehow hormones have gotten this reputation of bad
Almost like
versus,
chemicals now.
yeah, like, and to some extent there are situations where things are bad or at a
Mhm.
surplus, but it's just in general they get a bad rep, and it's because people have marketed and positioned them as this awful thing, this
Yeah.
unnatural, unhealthy, bad for you kind of thing. And so it's I think a lot of the things that we do during Dairy Month help just give people perspective
Yes.
of, okay, yes, and
Yeah. Ooh, love
yes, there
that.
are hormones in milk, and it's
This is what it
because
means.
it's a natural product from a living, breathing
Thing.
animal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a natural living thing. Of course it does. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Oh, and I wanted to throw this in there as well. It's kind of one more fun fact or maybe misconception talking about the size of farms and anything right now, right? Like what is very big right now is people want to get back to local, supporting the
yeah.
farms around them. And I
Oh,
feel like,
yes.
well, and I feel like a lot of people think they can't do that if they're buying milk or dairy products from a grocery store. And again, if you want to go to the farmer's market or if you want to go direct to a farm store, if a dairy farm has that, you know what? Great, you can go buy that milk. But there is the fact of, on average, all the milk that you're going to be getting in a grocery store from that store brand. So let's say I go to Publix and buy the Publix milk. Typically, on average, that milk is coming from a 300-mile radius of dairy farms within that area. And
Yeah.
so you're still most likely, getting farms that are closer by within the state, or if not a nearby state. And typically from the farm to that store, that's getting there within 48 hours. So
Yeah.
whether you maybe feel like it or not, or whatever brand is on that milk, you're still most likely going to be able to support local farmers. It's not
Yeah.
just being able to go directly to the farm or a farmer's market. Even if you're going to the conventional grocery store, you're still supporting family farms and the
Yeah.
families that dedicate their lives to producing a safe and nutritious product.
Yeah. And a lot of times these farmers that have they own their own brands, whether that be their own milk brand, their own yogurt
Mm-hmm.
brand, their own cheese brand, what have you. Oftentimes, sometimes all of their milk goes into those products. But
Mm-hmm.
then other times they have milk that also goes to a processor and ends up as a private label milk. So like
Mm-hmm.
Great Value at Walmart, or it goes into a branded product, like Richie's or Gallagher's or
Ooh, yummy.
Mayola or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So it's their milk is in different places. So a lot of, like you're saying, milk is coming from local farmers, and it's especially HTST milk, or which is in the traditional gallon jugs, which
Yep.
has a shorter shelf life than some
Yeah.
other ways of processing and pasteurizing milk.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it from farm to
Table.
shelf
Yeah.
in 48 hours. So then, I mean, depending on when it arrived and when
Yeah.
people purchase it and then have it in their fridge, that's that's less of an obvious answer. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes when, HTST milk has a 21-day shelf life. So it left that farm like 22 days ago
Yeah.
until the time that you're supposed to use it by. So yeah, it's all local. It's close, and it's just, yeah. And I also, you know what? Sometimes I really do like being able to support local, maybe more in the sense of when things are really seasonal.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
do like having a connection with my farmer or whoever. So it's cool
Yep.
whenever I have that opportunity. But sometimes I also consider just like if it comes from a farmer anywhere in the United
Yeah, I
States,
support it,
it's
man.
kind of local in a sense of I don't know, it's kind of local and patriotic to support
American grown.
farmers. Yeah, American grown is local in its own sense to me. So even,
Yeah.
yeah, so anyways,
Yeah, like when the
I feel
dairy
you.
industry is doing well, all dairy
Yeah,
farmers are going to be
yeah.
doing well, right? So in general, I'm going to support the dairy industry in any capacity. And if you want to support dairy farmers, buying any dairy product is going to be supporting dairy farmers.
Rising
Boom.
tides make all ships rise.
Oh, yes. I like it. Oh, fancy. What a way to
I
end
I've been
it.
thinking about that. I was like, oh, don't mess this up.
I need to tie it in there somehow. Oh
But
my gosh. Well, that's
so
awesome.
we you know, this is kind of similar, but a little bit more broad or bigger picture than last week's hot take. We wanted to talk about our favorite dairy products. And
Oof.
so do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I feel like we're going to kind of have the same
Do you have yours
answer.
picked yet?
Um, okay. Well, it depends, I
Okay,
guess.
well,
I mean,
you asked this. This is also a throwback to your first
yes.
Cowgirl Talk episode because you went around World Dairy Expo and were asking people what their favorite dairy product is. So,
Well, yeah.
here's the ground rules so people can do this on their own. You found at World Dairy Expo that people were saying milk because then milk can make all the other dairy products, but I feel like
Oh,
that's
actually, I feel
cheating.
like I feel like most people gave a better answer than that, and I was the one who cheated and said
Yeah,
milk
so
because
it's like,
our
what is your favorite dairy product as
as is.
is?
Yeah. And I think our question, even to make it more difficult, was like if you could only keep one dairy product,
Oh, well, I just
what
want
would
to do
it be?
favorite.
Yeah, because that's too difficult. That's
I'm still
heartbreaking.
traumatized from how judged I was on my answer.
Okay, so yeah, there were some surprising answers there of how I don't want to say specific people got because that's the point of the question.
Yeah.
But for favorite dairy product, I feel like there's categories, right? For almost maybe what I use most would be milk or cottage cheese. So like in terms of favorite
Yeah.
dairy product of what I'm buying and using the most, I'm using milk all the time, whether it's in my coffee, whether it's in a smoothie, whether it's with granola, or after a workout, I'm just chugging a glass of chocolate milk. So truly, I feel like I do utilize those
Yeah.
chocolate milk and white milk. I utilize that the most. And then cottage cheese as well. I know it's having its moment everywhere, but I also love cottage cheese right now. I'm putting it in my eggs, I put it in my smoothies.
Made a really good
And
cottage cheese pizza toast.
oh, yes, I
Something.
made cottage cheese pizza toast. So I would say, and I guess I didn't narrow it down, but that brought me down to two. So I feel like that's fair. And of course, it's summertime. So if I'm just talking about, doesn't matter the nutritional benefits, I can eat whatever I want. Everything's the same. Of course, ice cream in the summertime is always going to be
Yeah.
freaking amazing. So that was me trying to narrow it down because trying to pick a favorite dairy product is literally the hardest question in the world for me.
Well, the most popular answer at World Dairy Expo was cheese. And I feel like
Yes, it
that's
was.
probably the most universal answer of our listeners as well. But so I had originally then said yogurt. And my God, people were like, ew, really? Yogurt? Not that
Do you mean
anyone was
Greek
like,
yogurt or regular?
I just said yogurt. And people were like, "That's so boring." And I was like, "Okay, geez Louise," because everyone else was saying cheese or ice cream, and I was like, "Yogurt," because it's like the best for my tummy, and it can also be savory or sweet. And anyway, so I'm going to say that your favorite dairy product can be a fluid and evolving answer because today I feel like my answer is cheese.
Oh,
And that is probably because one, cheese is delicious, and like if you ever think about all things that we love in life, like pizza, it's because of the cheese.
Oh,
Cheese
true.
sticks
Very true.
because of the cheese.
Mhm.
And I've also for breakfast been loving cheese toast, which
What does
sounds
that
kind of
mean?
funny because
Yeah,
it
what is
is.
cheese toast?
Which sounds,
Okay.
I don't know, like
A grilled
British.
cheese, you mean?
No, not quite. Well, I mean, maybe
A
kind of.
version.
But the Laughing Cow spreadable cheese, or like any
Oh,
of the spreadable cheeses or cheese spreads that you can just, it's kind of like your hummus toast, but I just put spreadable
yeah.
cheese on
I
toast,
love
and
that. Yeah.
I have that, my glass of milk, and my coffee for breakfast. And so
Literally,
I
yeah,
heart cheese.
I have 3 servings of dairy by breakfast time.
I
So,
know, same.
like, oh, you don't like dairy? Couldn't be me.
Couldn't be me. But no, team cheese, baby. It's
Okay,
delicious.
yeah. That's true. Cheese does come in so many forms. So if you say cheese, that can include feta
Yeah.
cheese, spreadable cheese, brie cheese, parmesan,
Ooh, a good
like
burrata, like a good
yeah.
gooey burrata. Nom, 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 nom.
Yeah, so cheese really, and of course I know milk is versatile, right? But cheese is one of those other dairy products that can really take on so many forms and really be incorporated in sweet ways, savory ways, mixed
Yeah.
ways. It really is
Yeah.
it's
I
really up
mean,
there.
cheese is in everything. Like today,
It's true.
I got some Starbucks gift cards for my birthday. So we went and
Mm.
got breakfast there after tennis. And I got the little egg, potato, chive, and cheddar
Oh,
bites,
yes, those are good.
cheese. And then on both of our sandwiches that we got, cheese.
What's up, baby? Name of the game.
Name of the game.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, you had a more narrowed down answer than me, so thanks for actually playing the game correctly there. I just yeah, for what I use most, it would be those 2 products, which
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's boring because dairy's never boring, but it's like okay, duh, everyone we love milk,
Technically,
but
cottage cheese is in mine too because it's a cheese.
oh gosh, it does have cheese in the name, so you really got it down. Yeah, cheese.
It did.
Of course, cheese and milk would be the most versatile, and I feel like another popular one for people is always ice cream because
Yeah.
ice cream's delicious, and it's
Yeah.
summertime, and July is National Ice Cream Month, which it'll be fun. We can even do a whole episode
Yeah.
on ice cream. We'll see.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so glad we could just talk about dairy for an entire episode because it really does just bring me so much excitement. It gets me fired up, gets me passionate, and I really am just so lucky. And I think we're both so blessed to have grown up in this industry because it really is full of some really amazing people, and it's so cool. And I don't think I forget, but to just grasp that we are part of such a big an industry, a small industry that makes such a big impact that
Yeah.
literally feeds the world. It's
Yep.
like, what? That is so
Crazy.
that's so cool, man.
There's
So, yeah.
there's a lot of purpose and value in being involved in this industry. That you
Yeah.
and I mean, I don't know where I would find it elsewhere.
No, truly. I mean, how often do you get to help feed the world? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Oh
It's
my
pretty
gosh.
sick.
Well, this was probably one of my most favorite episodes, as I, again, always love talking about dairy. And if y'all enjoy the episode or the show in general, of course, always please, if you'd like, leave a review, follow the show, rate it, all the different things you can do on whatever platform you're choosing to listen to. And as always, we are on social media. If you want to tune in elsewhere, we're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Find us at Cowgirl Talk. And thanks for tuning in and listening to us just gush about our love of dairy products for for an hour.
Yeah. And as always, have a great day, cowgirls. Bye.
Bye.